Well, hello there, quirky birders. It's Lynn here, and time for episode 2 of your daily art challenge. So yesterday we worked on our sky, and we also put in a base wash of the green in the foreground of our picture. And today we're going to start putting in a little bit of colour into our little shed itself. So I've mixed up a little bit of the yellow ochre, and I've used a little bit of white, and then I've dropped the tiniest bit of black into the palette, and I've ended up with this sort of quite a muddy sort of pale beigey grey colour, and that's the colour that I'm going to use as a base colour for our little shed. So I'm going to make a start by painting in the wood panels. And don't paint all of the wood panels in. You can actually allow some of the paper to show through. So I'm going to do one and then miss one and do another. And that just allows that first one to dry. And just gives it a nice edge for when we come back along the other way. You can do some that are paler than others, so you can make some that are a little bit more watery. And then we'll do the same on the little lean-to. Just keeping that line nicely defined. Come all the way down. And then we can come back the other way. So we can then work on this one here. And again, just allow that paper to bleed through, so you've got that lovely weathered sort of distressed look. Now yet again, this is just a base coat, so we're going to be building the layers of colour. We're going to be working in the glazing process. And then the last little panel here. And then we'll just do our little vertical ones, our horizontal ones. like so. Now while we've got that colour in the palette, we can also put the same colour on this little fence here. So I'm going to start with the little fence post. And then just work your way along the little fence. And then what we can do is add a little bit of brown, so it goes a little bit darker, still using the same colour that's in the palette, but it now is a little bit stronger in pigment. And we'll just put in a little bit of colour onto our telegraph pole. And like I say again, this is just the base colour because we can work in some shading onto our little telegraph pole a little bit later. And then we can just go a little bit darker again. And then we can just put in some colour onto our little tree trunks. Okay. Now the next thing that we can do is we can just add in a little bit of more stronger colour around the little door frames, and also we can start to put in some of these sort of little shadows within the windows. So to do that, you need to mix a little bit of black. So I've got a nice black, and all I'm going to do is just put in this shadow. So you want it to look like you're looking into the shed, and you can see that the shed is sort of empty and dark. So I'm just taking the paint all the way down to the bottom. Now on this window here, we're just going to leave some of the paint at the bottom. We're not going to paint it all the way down. So what I want to do is be able to paint a little bit of yellow into that window, so it just looks as though it's got some sunlight coming through. Still dark. So we'll just leave it a little bit scraggy edged like that. Just put a little bit more paint down so it's a little bit darker. And then we'll do the same with this main door. Now, if you wanted to, you could put it as a door, so you could actually put some slats and braces, and you could actually make it into a proper sort of shed door. You could just put one door on. You could make it look as though the door's actually fallen off its hinges. It's absolutely fine. But I'm just going to leave it as an open space. But again, I'm just going to allow just some areas that remain white, so it gives the appearance that we've actually got some shafts of sunlight coming through. And then again, come all the way down to the bottom. Making it sit just that little bit heavier towards the bottom as well. Okay. And then using that same colour, but this time mix a little bit of yellow into that colour just to change its tone so it becomes a little bit of a warmer colour. We'll just put in the roof line. And we'll come along the top here. We'll paint in that step. And then that colour that we've just mixed with that yellow, it's created a bit of a sort of a mossy greeny colour. So I'm just going to water that down ever so slightly, and then being quite brave, I'm going to just squiggle a line down the centre of the driveway. Like so. And you can see that gradually the design is really beginning to come together. So the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to put in this little fence line along here, and I'm going to use a darker brown for that. But I'm also going to use my little flat-headed brush. And the reason that I'm going to use my flat-headed brush is because that's much easier when it comes to putting in a little fence, because you can actually just use that lovely broad edge of your brush and just dab the paint on, so you just get that wonderful sort of broken edge. And it just creates elements of light and reflection. And again, just come across on those little braces across the fence. So carry on, just coming all the way along, just putting in that base colour again on your little fence. If you haven't got a broad-headed brush, then don't worry about it. You can still just use your normal round-headed brush. It's just that you're going to have to just drag the colour along the little posts. Like so. And then just using that darker colour that we've just used for the fence, we can just put in a line just around the door frame. And again, just around the side. This one. And then also around the window up here at the top. Okay, so we now need to let that dry. So it really is beginning to come to life somewhat. Tomorrow we're going to be working on the trees and just working with that lovely burnt sienna colour and getting some colour on those little trees. And then we'll be finishing off the glazing process, ready for the inking on our final day, which will be Friday. So enjoy your painting. If you have any questions at all, you know where to find me, and I will see you all again tomorrow.